the 2nd of January 2007. A committee meeting of the Hampstead Garden Suburb Residents Association is taking place. In the chair is David Lewis.
I'd like to welcome you all to the first Residents Association Council meeting in our Centenary year 2007. In approximately 5 months' time, Henrietta Barnett cut the first sod to launch the suburb in 1907, and we're looking forward to a fantastic scheme of events which are going to take place during this year.
And what a momentous year it's going to be. Routine business is swiftly dispatched so that the committee can hear the details of all the events which are planned. Richard Wakefield describes the proposed souvenir programme.
The idea is that it's celebrating 100 years of Hampstead Garden Suburb. It shows Henrietta Barnett, it shows the logo, it shows the progression from slum children to the 1905 car, and then bringing in more modern things with school children.
4 months later, Rudy Viss MP gives his verdict on the programme.
Have you seen this? Yes. Richard Wakefield. I think he deserves our congratulations. He's been snapping pictures for a long time, and he is largely responsible. And if you have 3 children, buy 3 copies for their memory box, because of course they will go through it and they will say to themselves, my goodness, oh my God, am I shouting too loud?
It's late April on the village green in Willowfield Way. Stephen Crisp is putting the finishing touches on the Centenary floral bed which he has designed. Henrietta Barnett said that gardening was therapy for the soul. Here come the therapists from the Garden Suburb School to help Stephen. Diane Berger is on hand to give advice, and Horticultural Society Chairman Marjorie Harris looks on benignly.
To go round the back.
Now guys, can you just for one, just all look up at the camera?
Why don't you go?
It's a good photo opportunity for the Hammond High.
Marjorie, can you get down
Stephen inserts the last piece in the puzzle, and all is ready for the grand opening. Wednesday, the 2nd of May. A short stroll down Asmon's Way takes us to the first 2 cottages in the suburb. Sir Donald Sinden made a presentation to the owners.
Now, we named this rose. Actually, it's a special Henrietta Barnett. Is it called the Henrietta Barnett
You
Rose?
can name it Henrietta Barnett Rose.
The Henrietta Barnett Rose. Bless her. Over the garden gate. Ready, steady, go.
representing it. Don't forget to look up.
There is a good turnout of locals, including the man in the white suit. Sir Donald spoke a few well-chosen words.
But please, I must beg of you all to preserve the suburb as it is for future generations. Don't you agree? Yes. I'm afraid there are some people who would build on every spare square inch of grass. And I don't know how Willowfield, the corner of there, has escaped so far. It would be a marvellous place for 3 houses, wouldn't it? But so please, I beg of you, preserve the suburb as it is. It is a wonderful, we are privileged to live here. And it's a very, very special place.
Rudy Viss MP complimented Chairman David Lewis on his production skills.
It's wonderful. He wrote to me about a year ago, and you have to do with me, and I'm very sorry about that. He wrote to me a year ago because his activities are tremendous. And he said to me, we're going to put a plaque on Harold Wilson's house. can you invite the Prime Minister? And so I did. And the Prime Minister wrote back and said, well, I am too busy. That is a summary of what he said. And then he said, well, why don't you write to Gordon Brown? And Gordon wrote back, and I summarize again. He said, I have nothing in my diary, but I don't know how busy I'm going to be. So David and I knew for a long time that something was going to happen around now. I thank him and the committee, the council, for all the work that they're doing. This is an oasis. I'm not going to repeat what anybody else may have said, but it is an oasis in London. And as Sir Donald said earlier, preserve it, enjoy it. Thank you very much. I'm going to ask the chair, who's done all the work, to hold hands with me whilst we got this together. Whoops!
Now came the time for the floral bed to be officially unveiled by those well-known members of the Horticultural Society, Jonathan Ross and his wife Jane Goldman, who were introduced by its chairman, Marjorie Harris.
So without further ado, I'd like to ask them, I'll present them with a pair of scissors and a pair of shears, and ask them to cut the ribbon and to take the cover off our little plaque that commemorates the proceedings.
I asked Marjorie if I could say a couple of words first. Firstly, to join her in thanking everyone who's put so much work and effort into this, but also one person hasn't been thanked, I think, and that, of course, is Marjorie Harris, who... Quite rightly. And thank you to Stephen for a marvellous display. I'm glad you didn't go with the cubist version you first drew up. And all of us who are lucky enough to live in the suburb know that one of the most beautiful features of it is the gardens, the outside. When you drive around here, it just is a beautiful place. So for everyone here who works on their gardens and could maybe come around and give us some lessons, because despite the fact we were given the L plates and some secateurs, we've done bugger all, I'm afraid. We are without doubt, rather ironically, the worst gardeners in Hampstead Gardens.
Now Jonathan will water the Jonathan gardening. How
Till Christmas. Parched, wet, isn't it? Well done, well done. Thank you.
I was told to give it to you, Jonathan, but you may get the wrong idea. So allow me to present it to Jane and then give it to him because it's bloody heavy.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Sure, it's fine.
The whole event was crowned by maypole dancing by King Alfred's school. On the 13th of May at Church Farmhouse Museum, Hendon, an exhibition called Hampstead Garden Suburb 100 Years was opened. Here could be seen memorabilia and documents of the early days in the suburb. Queen Mary is on the left and Henrietta Barnett on the right. Exhibits were scrutinised in detail, including an early photo taken in Henrietta Barnett's school. The Deputy Mayor attended and spoke at some length about history in Barnet.
Good morning everyone, delighted to see everyone, and congratulations to all the people who worked so hard to create this wonderful display upstairs, because the legacy of our past and our history, no matter where you come from, particularly in the London Borough of Barnet, shall I say, is very important.
Barnet's history is about to be added to. For here comes the parade to announce the forthcoming pageant, written by Ian Davidson and directed by Colin Gregory. Not many actors warm up by marching a few miles just before a performance, but such is the enthusiasm of the cast that they willingly do a tour of the garden suburb before acting and singing for 2 hours. After a mile, the novelty begins to wear off a bit, but spirits are still riding high. Through Temple Fortune they march, and at last they reach the open-air theatre where the pageant is performed. The pageant is a tradition in Hampstead garden suburb, the first having been performed in 1911. This one, entitled Dame Henrietta's Dream, tells the life story of Henrietta Barnett and has a huge cast of local residents and children. At one point, Dame Henrietta herself makes an unexpected appearance.
I'm over here! Excuse me, you're dead. Dead? Am I? Oh, details. I'm not interested in details. I think in broader terms. I've come back to see what you made of it, the suburb. I've come back to see what happened.
The audience would like to serenade you with one of the many suburb songs which we frequently sing.
We sing them all the time, that's why we know them so well.
Certainly.
The author treasures his Henrietta Barnett rose. On the 17th of June, a big birthday party took place in Central Square. The programme says, at 1 o'clock the Henrietta Barnett School Big Band will perform with saxophonist Professor Lord Winston. But as the hour approaches, there is no sign of him yet. Ah, there he is, hovering in the background, no doubt preparing for his entrance. The band tunes up, and there's an air of expectation. The fans are hovering and pretend to look casual. Suddenly there's a strange hooting noise. But where is the saxophonist? Ah, I think he's behind the conductor. I must move over there. So here are Henrietta's people, frolicking beneath her steeple. It's Midsummer Day, and we're back at the foundation cottages of Hampstead Garden Suburb. Following in the footsteps of his predecessors, the present Lord Mayor of London, Alderman John Stuttard, and his wife are paying us a visit.
Hello, Lord Mayor. Morning. How are you? Very well.
I'd now like to make a small presentation to the Lord Mayor. This is a book by Mervyn Miller, wonderful, and it's called Hampstead Garden Suburb Arts and Crafts Utopia. I don't know why he's added the phrase Arts and Crafts Utopia. We don't claim to be a utopia, but we claim to be a very nice place. Inside will be inscribed with the Centenary logo. It says, "Presented to the Lord Mayor of London, John Stoddard, on the occasion of his visit to Hampstead Garden Suburb on Sunday, 24th June 2007, to celebrate its centenary."
Well, Chairman, Alderman, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much indeed, David, for that lovely present. Please, that we have our councillor here today, Brian Coleman, who we vote for every time, of course. And it's really lovely that this centenary should occur during my mayoralty.
The Lady Mayoress wrote a message to record the event. While the Lord Mayor chatted to his favourite local councillors. In the suburb there is a long-standing tradition of music performed by talented youngsters in the Institute. On Saturday the 7th of July, the various groups gave a concert conducted by Nigel Goldberg. The junior orchestra played Leopold Mozart's Toy Symphony. Audiences have a habit of applauding too early, but Nigel soon silenced them. Great fun was had by the additional soloists, but this time there was no saxophone. On Sunday, the 8th of July, Marilyn Green led a guide. Behind the station, there are some charming houses built in the Tudor style.
Now, this road here is the gem, one of the gems of the north part of the suburb, and it's the best example of mock Tudor style, which started becoming fashionable with the work of Norman Shaw, who was a Hampstead architect from the 1870s onwards. And what we have is the use of wood-structured houses and the sort of interesting brickwork in different directions, sort of chevrons, and the leaded light windows. Some of the houses even have the sort of hexagonal windows, which are Tudor in style. And again, this road's unique in that it uses reclaimed brickwork as well in the houses. So it's using actually bricks from vernacular buildings that have been pulled down. So it gives it a more rustic feel to it. So it's going back more to the ideas of the original suburb, of the sort of the ideas of the picturesque.
No wonder that even the local telephone exchange used to be Tudor. At this point I left the tour and dashed over to Littleton playing fields. The cricket match had already finished, but there was a fun fair organised by the Hampstead Garden Suburb Synagogue. The synagogue goes from strength to strength and has a youthful profile, which augurs well for its future. On the 12th of July, the Duke of Gloucester attended a town planning conference at Henrietta Barnett's school. He was due to unveil a plaque commemorating his visit. I arrived early to secure a good view.
Could I say what a pleasure it is to be invited to come and join you on this centenary celebration, and to follow in the footsteps of my grandmother, Queen Mary, in unveiling a plaque, and also Princess Margaret. I'm sure that both of them were very intrigued to come and see what was being created here. Your centenary is an opportunity to shine a spotlight on Hampstead Garden Suburb, and to, particularly for the younger generations, to explain your history and remind everyone of your unique antecedents and the influence that you have had on other places. And, as you say, perhaps an encouragement to be more conscious of your own community and what it represents. And it is with that thought that I have much pleasure in unveiling this plaque.
Then disaster struck me. A rival snapper obstructed my view. I moved my angle just in time. My rival snapped away for what seemed a very long time. The choir sang Purcell's Ode for the Birthday of Queen Mary, who was a predecessor of the Duke's grandmother. While the Duke made animated conversation with his hosts. And now, a film within a film. It's not over yet. I'll leave the final word to June Armstrong Wright's play With Regard to the Dame.
In 1924, when she was made a Dame of the British Empire, I was so proud.
And I was proud of this garden summer. Another 112 acres had been added to it, the first of many such additions. My dear friend, Queen Mary, visited the suburb again in 1930 to open the Crew Hall in this very building, which now housed a flourishing girls' school and provided further education for 25,000 people in the suburb and 150,000 people in the surrounding areas. I referred to it as the big and youngest baby that outgrew its clothes. I think, in part, my dream was realized.
And it still looks true to those designs that were drawn 100 years ago, thanks to this little poem.
Oh, welcome to the suburb, the green and pleasant land, where everything you want to is certain to be found.
My apologies to those who have not so far appeared owing to shortage of time, including the Welwyn Harmony Choir.
I've been this way since 1955. She looked at my thumb and she made a magic sign. She said, what you need is love potion number 9.
The Karen School Israeli Dancers. The Youth Music Centre First Orchestra.